The leaders of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda are due to meet today for an emergency summit as Rwandan-backed rebels appear on the brink of seizing the key city of Goma. The M23 group have already taken control of Goma's airport. As the battle for control of the city of nearly 2 million people continues, aid agencies say at least 100 people have been killed as thousands of civilians flee across the nearby border.
M23 fighters sweep into Goma, a regional hub close to deposits of valuable minerals used to produce mobile phones. The rebels claim to have seized control of the city, although the Congolese government insists that it's still in charge. Thousands of civilians have fled over the border into neighboring Rwanda to escape the fighting.
We have reports of rapes committed by fighters, looting of property, including of a humanitarian warehouse, and humanitarian and health facilities being hit.
The government accuses the Rwanda-backed rebels of targeting civilians in Goma. Aid workers say it's the worst escalation of the conflict in decades.
The situation in Goma is catastrophic. We're faced with a stream of casualties like we've never seen before. The number of injuries reflects the scale of the violence and the danger posed by this type of conflict.
The unrest quickly spread to the capital, Kinshasa, 1,600 kilometers from Goma, as crowds rallied behind President Tshisekedi. The Rwandan embassy was set on fire. Also others, including the French and Belgian missions, which are seen as favouring Rwanda. Business premises and diplomatic sites representing the US, Kenya and the Netherlands also came under attack. Faced with the M23 rebel advance, many Congolese government soldiers surrendered and gathered over the border in Rwanda. Civilians left behind in Goma can only hope a wider war will be avoided in a region already ravaged by 3 decades of conflict.
We're now joined by DW correspondent Jonas Gadding in Kinshasa. Jonas, there were clashes in Kinshasa yesterday, as we just saw in our report. What's the situation in the capital now?
For the moment, it looks quite calm, but I'd say maybe it's too calm, because I've been speaking to a couple of people on the streets and they said that they are still afraid of opening shops, for example. They are afraid that there might be looting again. Some people, they're afraid to go to their offices. There are protests announced by civil society and students. The governor didn't allow them, so we'll need to see how things will evolve today.
And what do you know about the situation in Goma? Have the rebels now taken control of that city in the east of the country?
It's a little bit difficult to say because people are still in hiding, our correspondents as well. But from what we know, that they have taken control of the key strategic points, such as the airport. There might still be some Congolese army, the FARDC units, which are hiding somewhere or which are resisting, but it's very, very unlikely that they will change the situation. It's on the humanitarian side, it's very problematic because there are like dead bodies on the streets and we have actually no idea on the death toll for the moment.
Now, the presidents of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda are due to meet today in Nairobi. Is it likely, do you think, that that meeting will actually take place? And if so, can we expect any progress?
Yeah, good question. A couple of days ago, the president's spokesperson in the DRC, she said that this is not the right time to do this. Let's see if they will meet and in what kind of meeting it will be. But we need to take in mind that there has already been a peace process negotiated in Nairobi, and this didn't work out. There has been a peace process in Rwanda, in Angola. It didn't work out as well. And this is mainly because Rwandan President Paul Kagame, he insists that DRC President Felix Tshisekedi negotiates with the M23 rebels directly. But this is what the DRC president refuses to do. He says that they are rebels and I'm not going to sit on a table with them.
Now, a number of international peacekeepers have been killed recently in eastern Congo. Why have the peacekeeping missions of both the UN and the African Union failed to stop this conflict from escalating?
If you're looking at MONUSCO, the UN peacekeeping mission, the mandate is they have the right to shoot, yes, but they are mostly there to protect the population from those smaller local rebel groups. But this time we can't talk about an international law because we've got plenty of Rwandan troops which are on the ground. UN figures talk about 3,000 to 4,000 Rwandan troops which are in the DRC. So they simply don't have the strength. They are spread in the region and only a couple of them are in Goma. And the SADC member countries' troops, they just came last year and they as well, they don't have the capacities. And there's the question whether they have really the willpower, the will to sacrifice their lives in a faraway country. Some of them died, but they were not able to change the situation.
Jonas, thank you very much for that update. That was DW correspondent Jonas Gadding in Kinshasa. For more on the situation in the DRC, we're joined now by William Guma from Johannesburg. He's a political scientist at the School of Governance at the University of Witwatersrand. Thanks for being with us. William, the M23 rebel group has been making huge advances in eastern Congo. They're said to be on the verge of taking the city of Goma now. That's a city of 2 million people. What more can you tell us?
No, good morning. You know, they're making advances and they're supported by Rwanda. And I think the real danger that we've got here is that this may end up a conflict between the DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Rwanda, so a much bigger conflict. And obviously, you know, the Congo is now one of the world's largest humanitarian crises. We're talking about 6 million people. I mean, 6 million people in Congo has been displaced. I mean, and this will just worsen now.
The presidents of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda are due to meet today in Nairobi. Is it likely that that meeting will actually take place? And if so, can we expect any progress?
You know, up to now, local efforts, to resolve the conflict has failed because what is happening here is, the M23 movement has taken other parts also in the Congo, and they almost run the parts under their control, almost as a business. I mean, the UN says in the UN reports that the M23 rebel movement makes a month $800 million a month. Rwanda, that backs the M23, is also making a lot of money. You know, the critical minerals. Rwanda is a conduit for those minerals. So the M23 and Rwanda almost have little incentive to end this war. So and then there's the African Union as a continental body that is sadly lacks the credibility. For example, I mean, most of the member leaders of the African Union are all dictators or liberation movements that are autocratic. So they don't have the credibility to hold their peers accountable. So we may need the United Nations to intervene and, countries outside the continent also to bring the parties to the negotiating table.
Okay, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there for now. Thank you very much for being with us. That was political scientist William Guma.